And welcome back to the Wicked Wilds and a special episode. This is our final review for season one. And we've made it back to the trailhead and thrown our gear back in the truck after having learned a lot about each other over the last year. And we may have a few scrapes and bruises from for the stories along the way. We've laughed together, we've cried together, we've screamed, threatened. Hell, we even hurt each other's feelings, but that's just part of a good adventure, I guess. So thanks for joining us as we've worked out the bugs on this thing and tried to figure out what it wants to be and what it could be in the future. We're really grateful that you've listened if you've listened throughout this, and we hope you'll stay tuned for season two, which will pop off in just a few weeks. But before we jump into the review this week, I want to talk to my hosts. And first, we're going to go up to Detroit, Michigan to Mr. John. Can you
Well, well,
believe it's
well.
been nearly a year since we
No,
started this thing? It's crazy. Like
it is absolutely nuts.
it
I
is
cannot
like
believe it's been a year. That's crazy.
it's like Doctor Who timey-wimey stuff's happening. It just makes no sense whatsoever that we've been doing this for a
It's like
year.
a Christopher Nolan movie.
It is. That would be heartbreaking to find out that our whole lives were happening in reverse. We're headed to some doom that's already happened.
Way to bring it down.
And then we've got Jaime up in New York, New York. Any advice to new listeners that weren't around for those early passionate arguments?
Um, don't go listen to some of them. I don't know.
Just skip it.
I mean, I don't know. There's like some important arguments up top there, I bet.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we went hot for those first few episodes.
We came out hot right away.
And we sure did. And then in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, we have Eli.
So,
What's going on?
oh, living the dream.
So, would you have ever guessed you'd be hanging weekly on a podcast with a bunch of people that you'd only met once prior to the first recording of the show?
This may shock you. Not that far off what I thought, where I'd end up in some type of group discussing some of the crazy things I've discussed on this show. I knew I was going to get there. I just didn't know the setting.
You didn't know the people.
Yeah, I didn't know the people in the setting I'd be spreading the truth to. Yeah.
Well, I guess we won the lottery then.
So. Hey, I don't want to say, three luckiest SOBs in the world, but just think I could be out there educating other people and you guys wouldn't be ready.
Exactly. Yeah. We're winning the treasury of knowledge. And for anybody that goes back and listens to our first episode, which was on the Blair Witch Project, just know that Eli and I, at least, I don't know about Jaime and John, but Eli and I, we may have said we talked for like 15 minutes prior to that, ever. Like we knew him through Mary. Obviously, that's who his lovely spouse is, but we hadn't spent a ton of time together. But God bless him, Eli came in hot and ready, and
in love with
hit
you.
it off. Yeah, we had immediate chemistry. It was
hey, we did, and also Jaime.
The tables have turned. I know. I was about to say tables. I mean, how far we've come in a year, guys.
I still love Dave and that beautiful bearded SOB over there.
Even after all my antlers frustration.
I didn't say you don't love him.
Well, listen, revenge will be mine, but we all know it's coming. And when my revenge falls,
so the pressure's off. There's nothing I can do about it.
It's not hate, it's out of just we have to equalize.
It's justice. I understand
this chemistry here. After you did me dirty. Wow. It's just some Southern justice.
I understand. I don't blame you.
How would it be Southern justice when you're north of him?
That's how you do things in the South. Okay.
Well, Eli plays Southern on the weekends. Like he's like one of those National Reserve soldiers who plays Navy SEAL.
Listen,
on the weekend.
Gotcha.
I was born and raised in the great state of West by God, Virginia. Okay.
I don't know how to tell you this.
Tennessee.
That's not the South.
We like to think we are. All right. We're south of the Mason-Dixon, son. All right.
Nope.
Yes, we are. South of the Mason-Dixon. All right. I will not have you malign my Southern heritage.
I'm going to ruin this relationship on the last episode. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. You're doing great.
All right.
I mean, just honestly, the fact that you might be driving down here soon and realize that you've got a 7-hour drive to get to the South.
Hey,
things will come.
First off, I used to drive all the time for my last job. Don't bother me. Secondly, I think what you guys should be more worried is, am I coming alone? That should be what scares me.
Ooh.
Because it may just be me.
And then all bets are off.
All bets are off.
Okay.
Because I'm not locked in that cabin with y'all.
Uh-huh.
Oh, jeez.
Y'all locked in with me.
And
Now
on
that
that
the Watchman's
point,
here.
yeah, we'll know what's going to happen with this episode. We'll get some good advice or some good ideas from this episode on what we should be doing. So the movie we are reviewing this week, the final week of season 1, is Dead Snow. We're going out with a banger, a nice little international reader movie. So there is subtitles that we treated ourselves to. But before we get started, I'm going to do our official on the fly synopsis. And since Jaime read us in last time, she gets to choose. So my question to you, Jaime, is what are you reaching for to defend yourself against the undead Nazi horde? Is it going to be a chainsaw, a machine gun, or a hatchet?
Can't be offended by any of this.
I'm going with machine gun.
Machine gun.
And I apologize to everybody to my nasally voice that sounds even more obnoxious than it normally does because I'm coming off day. We're going into almost a week of like the flu. So
yeah. And in Jamie's defense, this is the first time in probably a decade that you've been sick. You had said.
Oh yeah. I mean, oh my God. I don't get sick and knocking on sick. Like I don't get sick. And like I'm still 3 years strong. I'm no COVID. So, but like I thought it finally got me. I like a little part of me was excited. Is that wrong? Like I was just like
a little bit
FOMO. You had FOMO about COVID.
A little bit.
I don't know. Everybody's gotten it, and I'm just like, I'm over here just going strong.
You're not missing anything.
Would you say the same thing with Ebola?
But no, but I'm just saying. Anyway, I choose machine gun.
Well, the machine gun was me.
You know what? Now I'm a little offended.
Why?
Yeah, I'm a little offended. You consider yourself machine gun.
I'm pretty sure he's offended every week, so it doesn't matter.
I am.
He'll find a way to make it an insult personal to him.
Before we hear about the movie, I want to know what John's background has anything to do with this movie.
It doesn't.
Oh.
That's the beauty of it.
I thought we usually stay on.
That's the whole thing, yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
So this movie is Dead Snow, came out in 2009. It is a Norwegian film. And so, as I mentioned, it is subtitled. The premise of the film is you've got some, what they are calling college kids that are going up to a remote hiking cabin that one of them who had already gone up owns, or whose family owns anyway. So they're going up for a nice weekend of skiing and snowmobiling and all that kind of stuff. When they get up there, the person who was supposed to get there first oddly hasn't arrived. We know as the audience that person has gotten got by something. We don't know what. So as the tale untells, and there's debauchery and some disturbing stuff that we're going to talk about after a while. The kiddos, they find in the refrigerator under the floorboards, which is how you would do that in Norway, I assume, which I think is very cool. They find a box full of gold and trinkets and jewelry and stuff like that. Well, then things start to get more complicated as zombies dressed in Nazi uniforms start to show up and tear them to shreds. And I think that's all we really need to know to get into this, isn't it?
That's literally the plot.
The whole thing.
And shenanigans occur.
They sure do. Hashtag shenanigans.
Hashtag shenanigans.
So Eli, why don't you jump us off here? What did you think of Dead Snow? Was this your first watch, or have you watched this before?
No, you know what's weird? I remember when this, because Shaun of the Dead came out first, and like Shaun of the Dead's one of my favorite movies of all time. Like I like a lot of those movies that Simon Pegg, Nick Frost wrote, but like Shaun of the Dead is perfect. And I remember reading in a Fangoria magazine when Dead Snow was about to have its US release. So I went and rented it from the video store, and I remember liking it at the time, but that's the only time I ever watched it. And when we decided to do for this, the only thing I remembered about this movie was Nazi zombies. So I kind of went in blind. And like shockingly, I really did not like it this time.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of found it really boring. And it took, like, I mean, there were some like cool effects, and like some of the things looked cool, and and whatever. Like, it was just kind of boring, and like I didn't really like any of the characters, and like I remember just thinking, okay, can this be over soon? Like I just really didn't like it this time. It was kind of crazy. And then I got angry because like I started reading stuff about the movie, and then some,
Of course,
which
you got
we'll get
angry.
into, and then some stuff made me angry about it. What they did, but yeah, like I just remember like I like this is kind of boring. I didn't like the characters, and like I know they were like even advertised itself as like a horror comedy. I really didn't find anything funny. Like I just didn't.
I have a question about that actually, but
Like it's just like it fell. I don't know. It just like fell flat for me. I was like, meh.
So
So
you
it's-
ruined the memory.
It did. Listen. I that's the risk we take on the show. You know, sometimes
Exactly.
we go back to them things we think are classics. Because I remember telling Mary like, oh, I'm kind of excited. This will be a nice one, easy. I love this movie. And then I watched it today in horror as I was like, I've just destroyed a core childhood memory. Oh,
childhood.
not really childhood. I was, whatever. But I was like, I wish I kept that. Like, just remember thinking it was a great movie.
We do
But
this dangerous
gone now.
work so others don't have to.
Yeah.
Understand?
You're welcome, people. Not saying we're heroes, but we deserve a holiday.
Okay.
So, John, what about you?
It's interesting. I don't know what this might be a streak for Eli and I. Like I've never seen this before until this week. And I'm pretty in lockstep with Eli for the most part. I know,
There you
but
are.
if you could only watch the video and see Eli's shocked face, there's some really good things about it, but it was like sometimes it was trying to be serious, other times it was trying to be funny, and the jokes weren't that great
Wait,
because
I
we
don't
saw.
think it's ever trying to be serious.
Right.
Well, I mean,
What movie are
relatively.
you watching?
To be fair, I've not had much opportunity to sit back and relax recently, so I had to multitask when I watched this. So there are moments where it's more when I say serious, not like, oh, we're making a really. It's not like Evil
It's
Dead
melodrama.
2013.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's
Right.
like it's like your typical teen horror movie, and then all of a sudden you got a guy chopping his hand off like Evil Dead. And I mean the Evil Dead influence was worn not on its sleeve, it was more like all over its face, neck, and chest. I mean, it was everywhere. And it was cute. I still don't understand like we have sentient zombies.
Well,
Which
that's
is a
what made me angry. I'll get into that.
Which is a novel idea, and it's like, okay, but what are their ends? They have no ends. It made no sense. But anyways,
we'll get into that. That's what made me angry because they started with something and then they made a choice, and it was the wrong choice.
According to the Mole King.
According to the Mole King, wrong choice.
But no, there were some semi fun moments. Outhouse sex is nothing I would ever recommend nor want to do.
That's old in my.
It's like he's taking a shit.
It's the most disgusting.
Comes in.
It's the most. I have watched a lot of horror movies and a lot of movies in general, and that might be the most disgusting scene in a movie I've ever seen in my life, and I'm putting that on the record. I almost had to leave the room.
Yeah.
And for anyone that doesn't know, Jamie, what's your favorite movie?
Which one, Terrifier or Evil Dead 2013?
That's all I need for everyone's reference and understanding to know. That's what Jamie means by disgusting.
Well, yeah, I've got it in big bold letters in my notes. It is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Yep. And when she takes his wiping hand and puts it in her mouth, she could not die quick enough.
And that's what they like thought that was funny. No, and it's not even like you can say, well, that's like Scandinavian like humor. It's not, because we've seen things like Troll Hunter and like I've seen some other stuff, and like that was just like them being like, oh, in American college movies they make fart, poop, and sex jokes. What if we combine two of them?
There was that line right for you, Eli. I wrote it down just for you. I will get there.
And I was just like, oh. And also, like, he looked like he was 50, and she looked like she was like 19. I'm like,
I don't know about that.
Yeah, that was, I mean,
looked old as shit.
But let's have a sledding contest. What do you say?
There you go. So, Jamie, jump in there. And I am glad you brought it up because I didn't know how to talk about it. But yes.
So I mean, it's in big notes and literally same as you. Then it literally in caps in my notebook because I write. It says this is the most disgusting scene in any movie I've ever seen. Anyway, this movie that we're discussing right now, not that specific scene. is fine. I kind of am on the same page as everybody, but so I thought I had seen this before. I even I have a letterbox, but it's weird. I only use it for horror movies. Mainly because that's mostly what I watch, but also because it became a point where I was so tired of saying, have I seen this C-level horror, that because you can't remember the plot. It's so so I was like, let me just start logging them all so that next time I say, have I seen this, I don't have to like really like I'm pretty sure this used to play on Chiller, which for those who didn't have it is an NBC, but NBC cable channel that I used to watch every single Friday night, starting every single Friday night. I'd put it on when I finished work, got home from work, and it would be on like all weekend. And I feel like Dead Snow was on it a lot. So I was almost positive I've seen things. I could not remember one thing in this movie. So let's just say this is a fresh watch for me. The poster, if you will call it, however, or the cover shot, though, I think anybody who had early Netflix knows, because I think that's where it was, and it would show up as a recommended thing all the time if you were a horror fan or frequently watched horror. It was just that head was always there. Mm-hmm. That being said, that's nothing about the movie. The movie itself, like everybody said, or some have said it's bad. I think it's fine. I think it's slow to get where it's going, like Eli said. I think some of the kills are funny. The whole movie's a comedy. So I just want to say that. Like, I'm not trying to say some of the kills are funny as in like some of the kills are well done. They're funny. Some are a little stupid, but it takes a while to get to those funny and those like cool kills and special effects and fun ripping heads or body parts apart, which I'll always enjoy. Like everybody said, the characters are so unlikable. I could not get any of their names till the end of the movie, so I started a list that just said blonde girl, dreadhead girl, other girl, who then changed into shit girl when she decided that it was worth
she didn't last long
having sex while someone is taking a dump, and Sarah, who never is actually in it because they just yell her name the whole time. And the same kind of funny thing for the guys, where it's just an indescribable, because I couldn't, and it's not that they're foreign, like they didn't say their names enough, and the subtitles didn't give their name first, like some subtitles like to do. So everybody's interchangeable. They're caricatures. They're supposed to be.
Right.
Here's the question I was saying to Eli, and then he kind of touched on it. I don't know if it's and we discussed this with Troll Hunter, with one of them, about foreign humor, and is there a disconnect between American and I was trying, because I just wonder, because the decisions in this movie go beyond cliche horror bad decisions. They're just like terrible decisions. And I don't know if they were for funny, like if it's like a comedic thing, if I missed some things, like, but they're just all the worst decisions in the world, including like, this is such a throwaway, but like, why did it take almost to the end of the movie before they picked up a cell phone and called someone? And then when they called her, they said the most idiotic things, that she hung up on them or whatever. And then the battery was dead. But it's like, where was that cell phone the whole movie, and why did it take the whole movie to make a phone call and call for help?
I don't think this was Scandinavian horror. I think there was a commentary on American horror, because like the whole beginning of the movie starts with them naming a bunch of American horror movies.
No, I know that, and the only English lines, and by the way, in the movie are quotes from American movies.
Mm-hmm.
There's like Terminator and Indiana Jones, and but like, I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know if it's. I just don't. But I don't even know if it's supposed to be humorous, or it's just their way of doing bad decisions, or they didn't even think the decisions they were that bad. I like to me, there's just a movie of poor decision on poor decision, but it's not like for funny sake. But otherwise, I mean, it's fine. It's a breezy. What was it? An hour and a half of my time, except that it's very hard for a podcast when you like to take notes to watch a foreign film that you have to read while you're trying to write at the same. I would miss things constantly. I was just like writing and then be like, oh shit, what did they just say? Like, what? I'll just follow along, because like, I think one of you pointed out in our like Discord, like there's not a lot. It's easy to follow. Yeah. Like you don't really need to, but yeah. So it's fine.
Well, for me, I had never seen this. I'd had the same experience you just referenced, Jaime. I've seen this everywhere. I've seen the movie poster everywhere. I've seen it promoted to me everywhere. I never jumped into it because I would read that it's subtitled and I would just move on. You have to sort of be in a state of mind for that. So this was the first time I'd seen this movie. I did appreciate that this came out in 2009, like I mentioned, which was like the first real wave after the big zombie craze in Hollywood, like this. So you started getting the zombie comedies and the zombie spoofs, and then Walking Dead came out either that year or right around that. So the big second wave of zombie nonsense was about to jump off. So this was in that craze. I love this movie's energy. This movie, for whatever reason, it hit me just right. I don't know if it's that things are gray and gloomy. We had just watched The Witch, and before that, we watched The Alien. So having something that was giving me a full invitation, as I referenced to John earlier before we started recording, it gave me an immediate invitation to shut my brain off. And that's what I needed when I watched this movie. It was fantastic. I do recognize it's a Norwegian comedy, and we talked about this in Troll Hunter. They're all about black comedy. It's very dry comedy. But even in this one, and to the point you just made, Jamie, about all the referential stuff that they did, I don't think they were making commentary about how stupid American films are, but how much of an impact those horror movies from Hollywood had on them and their youth and their kind of human experience over there. And I know we've got listeners to this podcast in Norway and the Netherlands and Sweden and Poland. So hi, but we'd love to hear from you if you wanted to send us an email and kind of explain, because I always feel like this, and I felt this way in the Troll Hunter, when things were odd that were done, I felt like it was either cultural or some reference that I didn't hit. So I would love to know about your all's habits with outhouses and sexual intercourse.
Sex in outhouses.
And-
That's really all we need to know. That's the
I don't
only
want to
question.
know. You don't have to tell me. I don't want to know.
And the other one I do want to know, because it was a what the actual for me, is when dude decides it will be cute and flirty for him to sit on his girlfriend's chest and smother her with a pillow.
I have that
I'm
too,
like,
Dave.
what the hell is happening? And she gets all offended, and I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, I didn't mean anything by it. So, if some of our Scandinavian listeners could, what is foreplay like up there? Because I think it's different. I don't know what's happening with it, but that whole scene just confused and pissed me off.
So
I have a lot of confusing points. That's all my notes are just confusing points of this movie. That's
and I'm fine being on a different path from you. I figured this was going to be sort of a divisive movie, which is fine. We'll end the way we started for the season. But the things I do think I would defend in this is that I think the practical effects are really good for a small budget indie film. I was really surprised at the footage, even the landscape footage, the open scene footages that they got. I thought they were fantastic. I loved the music, the Norwegian sound, the death metal, the black metal sound, and
you couldn't find something that sounded more early 2000s.
Exactly.
In 2009. Oh man, but those special effects, it's a bold decision to go full white out sun and have that confidence on so many people at once, with all that makeup. So yeah, that was one of definitely the shining moments of this.
Yeah.
We just should have got there faster, I think.
Well, I think I agree. I think they were smart doing it with a lot of snow, because when they would run and that snow would fly, it looked really cool. But I think it helped cover a lot of stuff. It made a lot of smart movies with the effects in this movie.
And red gore on snow just looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
No matter how you do it, it just always is going to have a bigger impact. But I thought it was fantastic. So who has questions or scenes that we want to dive into?
Oh, I have lots. I think we all have lots.
Can I get can I do mine real fast? Because that's what set the tone for some bitch.
Eli, real fast. Those don't usually go hand in hand.
Remember how we were on the same page? Why don't we stay that way, man? Why don't we stay that way on this one? So I was like, these aren't zombies. When I was watching this, that's what pissed me off. Because they call them zombies. There's literally a line where they call them zombies.
Yeah, right away. They don't even do the whole. They don't beat around the bush. He literally says it as soon as they come. He goes zombies.
Right. So I'm looking at an interview by the director. Goes, well, they're not actually zombies. They're draugrs, which is in Scandinavian lore. A draugr is technically a vampire. It falls in more of the vampire family.
Yeah. If anybody plays Skyrim, you know what the draugr are.
And what they are cursed individuals that are so greedy in life. When they die, they come back and they're forced to guard their treasure for eternity. The Northmen, John, the thing that was guarding the sword.
Yeah.
But they're more like vampires, and they feed off the energy of the living. He's like, well, they started out as jars, but then we decided to make them zombies. But they didn't fully commit. So And like Draugrs have like special powers and stuff. Like Draugrs are cool. Like I think I would have liked this more if they would have leaned into the Draugr stuff. And like at times they kind of did because that head zombie Nazi like, raised a bunch of them up from the dead and
aren't the White Walkers pretty much Draugr? Isn't that the same kind of concept?
Kind of. So take on. But like once again, like if they would have just stuck with that, but like I felt they kind of made that they're like, oh well, they're zombies too, like commercial choice, which make money, but then just make them zombies.
Why are you mad, bro?
Because
they called it dead snow. It's like you can't be upset about them calling them zombies.
I can't because they were Draugrs.
No, not you. I'm talking about the director. He's like, oh, they're not really zombies. You called it dead snow.
Right. Like that was my thing. And like I get so frustrated.
Well, like, it's dead snow because aren't both whatever you're describing, aren't they both
they are
undead?
They are both dead.
Yeah,
but like
so they're both dead. It doesn't really.
But like I just get frustrated.
I feel like we're nitpicking here though. I mean, they're zombies in my book. I'm saying that because zombie has started to be used very broadly.
Well, right. But like I just get frustrated because like a lot of times these I like this stuff. Like, and you could like I think that you could, if like more people would kind of push some of these like stuff, like it might help broaden horror a little bit, and we wouldn't be watching the 900 like Amish paranormal activity, which I still can't get over.
Eli, I hear you. Zombies aren't a monolith,
right? And like, but like what they do, like he's like I got wishy washy. No, they're kind of zombies now.
It sounds very similar, and I'm going to prepare you, Eli. I'm about to use the trigger word. It sounds very similar to the frustration you had with Antlers and them using a Wendigo word when they actually had nothing to do with Wendigo.
100%. Like a lot of this stuff is like actually scary. Like they're like Draugrs were like there's legend Scandinavia, like you avoided graves because if there was someone greedy, like because like Draugrs could use magic and like they had super strength and like they would drain your life force so they could continue to guard their treasure. And like in this, it was just kind of like, well, they wanted their Nazi gold and like, but they were kind of zombies, but they kind of weren't.
You're also talking about, you're also talking about a low budget. Like this guy, like he can't go into the depths on, I'm going to say this word completely wrong, where they Draugr, whatever. I think I used to call them like Drugers.
I'm not saying you have to go really deep, but
what I'm saying is like, I don't know, like he's making, let's just say I have no idea. I'm speculating, but I like to assume when I watch movies like this, that he's making it with like friends and on a lower budget and things. And they're
That's
just
the energy
like,
it has. Yeah.
They're playing as they go along and it's turning into this and it's a zombie, but we need it to do this. So it's a zombie with a little bit of this. I mean, like,
well, he said they weren't. No, he explicitly says they're not zombies.
But in the movie they say they're zombies.
Yeah,
which is what I'm saying.
Which is
like,
weird
because I think the word zombie has become is what anybody. I actually appreciate that they said it because in most movies, especially American movies, they go out of their way not to say it as if zombies don't exist in America in American horror movies. Like in American horror movies, there's like apparently no such thing as a zombie movie because they never reference it when they see the actual item or whatever thing. I think in Shaun of the Dead, to your fact, they do say don't say the Z word or whatever. And like, and that is one of my favorite movies of all time also. But I'm just saying, like, so I think this guy who obviously the guy who said it was the guy who was a movie fanatic, especially American movies, especially horror movies. He had referenced a whole bunch of movies in the beginning, Evil Dead and whatever else. And so he said zombie because
I get it. And
if he's going to present his movie, which has his culture into it, but if he's going to present this movie to a Western audience, Draugr doesn't land. Zombie does.
I'm just saying, I get it, but as me, who's somebody who likes lores and legends, gets frustrating me when like they don't like lean into this stuff. Like
you're just
some movies do.
Movie.
Hey, you're gonna star in 14 roles. You already agreed to it, Jamie. You already agreed to be the star of 14 different roles in this movie.
I know.
If he would have said hybrid, I don't think I'd been as frustrated. But when he flat out came out and said, "Oh, they're not zombies," they're
it's funny because I used to say when I was younger, zombie horror movies were my favorite, and that's evolved as I've gotten older, and it's like so not the case because I think there's just too many of them, and just whatever, and it's like they've gotten tedious and repetitive, and but I, as someone who you say zombie horror movies are my favorite, and is pretty well versed in the horror genre, I'd like to think, like literally the other day for shorthand was talking about Last of Us, like you were saying, and I'm not saying anything because I didn't watch it, but I played the video game. And when my friend
Show's
asked
so
me,
good.
well, when he did that to me, see, people are doing it to me already. I don't want to turn it on because of that. But
Yeah.
so
I've
when
kept my
he
mouth shut.
when he messaged me like right away and said, "Did you watch?" I said, "I don't need another zombie show that's just going to disappoint me," And he literally tried to say they're not. I was like, "I'm not having that argument. I'm using it shorthand. Like,
Exactly.
I'm done differentiating what's a zombie, what's just a mutated. Like,
Yeah. It's all zombie
you know what I'm
tropes,
saying?
so it's a
It's
zombie
all
show.
exactly. It's all zombie tropes when it comes down to it. It's all
Technically,
gonna.
you know whose fault that is?
Gods.
No, George Romero. Because in the original Night of the Living Dead, those are not zombies.
They're ghouls.
They're ghouls. He bases his creature off the legend of the ghouls, but he doesn't say anything. He doesn't give them a name in the movie. And a lot of people who weren't really familiar with zombies, but they've heard things about them, they're like, "Oh, I wonder if those are zombies." But actually, zombies don't eat people. Drop a little knowledge on you. Boom.
Well, anyway, point being is that they're
Mhm.
just so overdone in. My God, my voice. That
Yeah, I mean, they're going on
it's a
20
blanket
years of
word.
zombie stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I'm over The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I'm
No.
over like
Right. But this
It's like
time,
the late 80s and the 90s were all about the vampires. Then the early aughts were about ghosts, and then it became zombies, and we have
And
yet to get
Ghost.
rid of the zombies.
we haven't gotten rid of zombies yet. They just keep coming.
I don't know, because now we're on Killer
Slashers.
Dolls again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
true. But like, look at the
ugh.
only horror television we get seems to be like zombie. Again, I'm using it
Mhm.
as a blanket, but it seems to be zombie shows. Like, can't we get fucking something else? Anyway,
I'm ready.
it's not
there's
the
only-
only, but it's two. Those have been very popular. Like, have
Mm-hmm.
broken into mainstream and been huge. And it's like,
No, I understand, but I'm not going to apologize because I love these old lores, and it is a pain point for me when they do stuff like
that's
this.
why you have a
Just lean
supplemental
in.
show where you get to
I
explain
do.
Exactly.
I
and
do.
educate the masses.
And I'm sure he's going to use
Do,
that.
yeah.
He's going to use that soapbox well here. So, Jamie, you said you had some questions or something things. You
dumb, really dumb. But if we
I
have to
love it.
dissect this movie. There's not a lot to this movie, so we got to
It's
go.
going
for, like,
to
the
be dumb, yeah.
Yeah, we gotta go for the dumb, silly things. So, one is the guy, like our prototypical warning guy, which we forgot, like we didn't mention. There's a guy that warns them not to do this, but he warns them. So now this isn't their house. They didn't build this house. Her family presumably built this house. But he like warns them just not to go to the house. But this house, why did her family build it in there in the first place? Nobody warned the family when they built this cabin. That's one. Why does the man also just live in a tent, like in the middle of
assumed
nowhere?
he is the troll hunter for the region. I just
Oh,
assumed he is the troll.
He's
That's
just
a good
like
assumption.
I thought he was a treasure hunter.
He's just living in a tent.
Yeah.
Like all by himself. Is that what he does all the time, or was he waiting for them
Jamie,
to show
now
up?
you're getting a little too close and personal because that is Dave's dream to retire and just go do that. Just go live in the mountains.
In the middle of the snow by yourself? Like, in a
Absolutely.
tent? Oh, no.
I mean, I don't think my family's going to be on board, but
Well,
I'm starting to question what you may have booked for February because
it's going to be fantastic.
I need a lot of comforts in my life. I don't know if you know
Who
me.
was the guy in Boggy Creek that lived in the middle of nowhere?
Oh, you mean
Let's not bring back that movie, please.
I was going to say, is that
Joseph
is that what you?
Crabtree went and visited him.
Yeah,
I am
is
not shooting off part of my foot in a boating accident.
but is that the life you're looking for, Dave?
Dave, do you want some of my my list of bad decisions that were made in
Yes.
this movie?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, they're dumb again because it's a dumb movie, but I had to entertain myself some. So
One
they're
of my
not in the
questions
right-
was, what is the biggest WTF moment? So I'm
Oh, well, that's sex in the
I was
fucking
gonna say, yeah, you
outhouse
can't-
while
yeah.
shitting. So they're not in the right order because some of them I thought after the fact. So as I wrote them, there's not a lot of them. But so someone hiking by themselves to a cabin when all their friends are driving there and like insisting on hiking completely by herself with no communication or checking in or whatever.
Great idea.
Number 2 was sex while shitting.
Ugh.
Terrible
These are
idea.
definitely out of order because this was
and
towards the end,
again, not even the grossest part of the sex in the outhouse.
I need
No.
all of it. Like, but
It
she
was her
comes in-
foreplay.
Sorry, but like I don't know. So I don't even want to set the scene because I'm gonna throw up. But it's just like I don't think people understand. Like she didn't stop him on his way out. She didn't
No.
meet him on his way back. She literally fucking comes into the tiniest little outhouse while he is on the fucking toilet,
And sits on it.
presumably mid shit.
I do not believe in hitting other people unless in self-defense. And like when I watched
I
that
would've
scene, I was like,
punched her.
full self-defense. If I was that dude, I would have smacked her. Like, what are you doing?
No,
This
he
is
was so
gross.
into it.
Get out of
That's-
here. He should have smacked too then.
His shame level is pretty low too,
Yeah.
because usually, I mean, you'd be like, "Whoa, hey, what are you doing?" At
At least
first,
pretend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do something.
yeah, but no, he's like, "Oh, hey, come on in."
Yeah.
I tried my rationale at the beginning when it happened was like a brief moment of like, oh, like, does the gold possess them? Like, is she doing something really weird? And then I
Nope.
realized she's just fucking disgusting. Like, she is the most disgusting human being on this planet.
We'll just say
zombies-
that the penthouse letters in Norway are different.
Listen, I'm just saying, if zombie joggers weren't in this movie and like they got back in the cabin and found out, it'd be like, you have to sleep outside in the snow.
Yeah.
You're not welcome to this
Well,
cabin.
he comes back all
gross.
smiles.
He's
and,
like drinking his beer. He's like, yeah, I saw her.
But no. He didn't just say, "Yeah, I saw her."
He
He
burped.
literally chugs his beer and then belches and says,
words.
"Yes." It's like, oh, gross.
Sorry. Number 3 is that for some reason that girl's solution at the end is to also throw herself off a cliff by stomping the
Mhm.
snow. Like, even though she's the one on the outside piece, like she didn't even try and to dance around him and like swap it. Like, I thought that's what she was gonna do. No, she just wants to kill herself. She also deserved anything because she smashed a bird. She's trying to be as quiet as possible, and then she decides to murder a bird in cold blood for absolutely no reason. When he's making natural noises.
The crow kill is hilarious, though.
And then, so my thing earlier, my example was why they wait forever to call for help. That was a bad decision. Here's a bold one. Why would you even go to med school when you're afraid of blood? Because to me, the dumbest person on the planet applies for a school that's like 90% gonna have the thing they're afraid of.
Yeah.
That's like if my dad, who became captain of the fire department, said he was afraid of fire. Like, I don't really understand. And then the last are hug your boyfriend while he's mid-zombie fight so that he also throws a hatchet into your fucking neck. And touch your arm off with absolutely no evidence that there's anything to do with bites or that you will turn.
Yeah.
But you just need to frantically cut your arm. And there were more, but I didn't think to make this list till I was like mostly through the movie. So I had to like backtrack in my brain.
Is that because you were so bored you're just trying to find something to do? Because I wish I would have thought of that.
That scene that you just referenced is
Which one?
That whole bit where he decides he's gotten bitten on the arm and he decides to cut his arm off.
His arm
and
off.
he lops his arm off the chainsaw, full ash.
Yes.
And then, like a mole king emerging from the snow, a zombie comes up and bites him on the crotch.
Yeah.
And the look on his face, I was laughing out loud. I thought it's because it was
I like-
obvious that that was the joke. But I
Yes.
was like, that was fantastic.
I like that his friend didn't even do like a fake, wait, no. Like, his friend just let him, like, when
Just
he's
stared
cutting
at
his
him.
arm off, he just like, okay, this is this is what you're going to do. This guy had no reasoning besides that someone quoted a movie
Yeah.
saying that when a zombie
Mhm.
bites you, you turn. And I just dropped my little zombie stir that I was holding
So
on the
he
floor.
stepped on his own hand and took a chainsaw to his
He
arm.
took a chainsaw to it.
And not 5 seconds later gets bit in the crotch.
Mhm.
Oh,
And then spends the rest of the movie acting like he wasn't bit in the crotch or that he cut his own arm off.
Well, okay, it's back. There's
You're
He
no
the
was
winner.
running better than the guy
Sweet.
who didn't cut his arm off or get his wiener bit.
you're the wiener.
Yeah, so anyway, those were my fun little things to bring up because the cutting my arm off just of pure logic of no logic was entertaining, I guess. More entertaining was the friend who just stood there. I was like, okay, go for it.
And I know, and of course I'm sure we're gonna get comments on this, but I know that there is a thing within survival training in Arctic areas. There and I don't know, I can't remember what it's called. It's like a snowdrop or something like that, where if you're pinned like a bear or something, you can jump off a cliff if there's like a good bed of snow underneath you. I mean, if it's like 500 feet, you're going to die. But if it's like 100-foot cliff, which is what it looked like, if there's like a 20-foot snowdrift, you can survive. I mean, that's sort of a real thing. I would never do it unless I was cornered by zombies. But I know that's a thing that has been historically
It
referenced.
looked
before.
further than that though, and I thought she was like gonna like swap that, like try and change them or do some kind of like Tremors thing where she's just gonna get him to go off the cliff and she's gonna like stay.
She just yeeted herself off the cliff.
She just was like, fuck it.
Which I think is funny. She stomps on it instead of just jumping off. She wants.
Yeah, she wants
that
to
big
break
block.
it. It's just like it's a nonsense. Again, nonsense. Poor decision, nonsense.
Agreed.
She deserved she deserved an axe to the face for killing that bird. So
I just called her Predator in my head to keep her. That was her nickname for me.
And it just didn't even make sense that she killed a bird because the noises she made killing the bird were louder.
So
that was
than
the
the bird
joke.
was.
That
I
was the
know, but
joke.
like it wasn't even like funny because you're just like
No,
watching her.
that's
Like,
why it's on
like-
Eli. That's why it's dumb decision number
5.
4.
and like she was dumb. Then like I think you were supposed to root for the guy on the snowmobile, which
I don't know who you were supposed to root for.
he
in
was
this
the
movie.
worst too. And then like you watch him like sew his neck and like make what I can only describe as Jean-Claude Van Damme faces the whole time.
Yeah, he was full Rambo at that point.
Yeah, like and then the duct tape he wrapped around his hair and his neck.
Do it.
I'm like, all right.
So smart.
They just kept somehow pulls a machine gun out somewhere. They just continues to ride
Oh,
around.
did you miss the joke?
Yeah,
Am I? Yeah,
Where did you get a machine gun?
I've been busy.
Yeah, I remember like
but I don't know where.
he
I'm with
said it.
Eli. I don't remember him
It's my
finding
face.
it. I
Yeah.
had
No one
idea
does.
where. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just like pulled it out of the snow, attached to the snowmobile.
Mhm.
Then just kept riding for
Yeah.
for the next fucking 45 minutes.
And
Eli, you and I just discussed a couple of nights ago. We just discussed Cobra.
There's
You've
a difference.
gotta let
Don't
your
you
brain get
dare. Don't you dare compare this to Cobra. That's a whole different. Because like Shaun of the Dead, like I said, like I love Shaun of the Dead. It's in my top 10. But like, and I felt like this was trying to kind of do a version of this. It just didn't land. I don't know.
No,
It just
I
didn't
don't think.
land for
I
me.
think Shaun of the Dead is too smart and just a better made movie in general than this. I think this is trying to be exactly what Dave's saying. Like it's turn your brain off and just have some fun. And again, it just takes too long to get to the fun. I didn't like these people, so I don't need to see them hanging out in the cabin. I don't need to see them doing just like protecting the windows and trying to like let's just get to like the first head burst or whatever. Like I think
love that.
one of the
was
first things was
awesome.
right. That was like the
Ripped
first one of the
rips his
first
head
like
apart,
was ripping his head apart.
the brain
But
falls out.
even
It's
then,
awesome.
we still had a little bit of like, and then we had downtime again. I was like, let's get to them being the zombies being out. Let's get to like all that shit at the end. We should have just had like almost like more of that through the whole. And I get it, budget and special effects, and
Well,
but-
that's what killed me because they could have literally cut 20 minutes out of this movie, made an hour 10, and hit all the high points.
Yeah. I was literally thinking cut about 20 minutes out
Mhm.
because all the low points.
I love the setup because
Oh,
just because I enjoy, and if Dave ever had to flee the U.S., Norway is one of the countries high on the list. But just the living above the Arctic Circle and all that snow and setting up in a hiking cabin, these are all things that I've done that I enjoyed that sort of setup stuff. And I know it's not for everybody.
well, it
But-
looked beautiful. I love the setting. I just
Mhm.
hated watching the people, dude. I hated the 10 minutes of beginning we had to watch Homeboy ride around on his effing snowmobile.
Yeah, and
Oh,
to the
all
point
right.
you made earlier, Eli, I did put it in my notes too because it is funny and it is true. And no offense to our Scandinavian listeners, but all of the guys looked like they were 40s dads, and all the girls looked like they were high schoolers. And I think it's something to do with the hairlines, the European hairlines that they
not
had.
the long haired dude. He looked young to me.
No,
Like,
that's
when he was
true. Yeah, he-
driving, when they were driving.
But the other two
but-
dudes
Oh
didn't.
yeah, the other ones.
No,
yeah.
that dirty porta potty guy or dirty outhouse guy. He, I mean, that dude looked like he was like 45.
Yeah, and jobless.
Yeah, and like especially
Oh, he's
I mean,
in med school, guys.
Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
no
they're all
way
med school
if you're
students.
okay having sex in an outhouse while you're taking a shit, there's no way you got into med school.
No, that I was just thinking that too. Like,
I
how are
refuse
these
to
people-
believe it.
They like know enough to like. I mean,
I
beyond
doubt you graduated
any
high school.
sane person shouldn't do this, but
Well, and to his death, that's Erland, and to his death where he gets pulled out the window, you know that reference, right?
Where he
No.
gets pulled apart.
I was just
No,
thinking
is
one of the dead.
where
'cause
they
do
had
the
his
exact
eyes
same-
jabbed in and then ripped his head and split his
Oh,
head. in
that
half.
reference.
that
Fulci?
reference. No, it's from Brain Dead, which is the T-shirt he's wearing when it
Oh,
happens.
nice.
Oh, when he's-
That's the
yeah.
first kill in what we know as Dead Alive, but what was originally Brain Dead.
Yeah, that's right.
So he
Gotcha.
gets the Brain Dead kill that he's wearing on his shirt, which I thought
Yeah.
was fantastic.
Nice.
Well, if you look like
And
chainsaw,
they also. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Okay.
I was just say they also get all the kills that the guy warned them of, which we
Mhm.
knew were coming. I was just waiting, but
Mhm.
Well, I feel like the chainsaw was red. Like it was red, and like and we already talked about, the Evil Dead, and then under the cabin.
Yeah. And then the gut hang, that's from like Dawn of the Dead or
Mhm.
something in the
Yeah.
gut hang.
That they did 11 times.
Yeah.
Like they did
in
11
this
times.
movie,
They
yeah.
they stretched their guts out. It got to the point where that guy literally ran to a tree like a dumbass and impaled himself, and then walked away. Didn't realize that
With
one,
his
he
guts
impaled
hanging
himself, and two, that he was pulling his intestines. I was like, all right, again, cool.
It's cold. He was numb. He didn't know what was going on.
Well, and in shock. And he was the one that was warned he'd be holding his intestines in his hands or whatever.
Exactly.
I know this isn't like really germane to the story, but it really bothered me at the beginning where the guy in the snowmobile says, "Hey, just walk 45 minutes this way, follow my tracks, and when you get there, everything will be unpacked and it'll be nice and warm and we'll have some fun." And he takes off, and then you see everybody walk with their luggage. He literally said he would unpack everything for them and then left them with the luggage.
He doesn't help anybody. He doesn't even offer to put one of those girls on and maybe or come back. Like he literally says, "See you guys. I have a snowmobile and you guys can all walk."
Yeah.
And
I'll
then
start a fire
45
for you.
minutes of him riding around on that snowmobile. And then the other thing I didn't understand was
It's
like they're
not
talking.
45 minutes.
It
of him
felt
riding.
like it. And then the other thing that like I hated about him was that stupid toboggan he wore. And then I hate it because they're all talking about how cold it is at night, dressed warm. And he's like sleeping in his toboggan. And then when he wakes up, he's not wearing a shirt. So you're telling everybody it's cold. You're gonna sleep with this stupid hat on, but you're not wearing a shirt. Like, come
Hey,
on,
man.
bro.
He doesn't want covers over his head.
Exactly.
He's literally wearing a toboggan.
That's why.
Toboggan,
That's
I
where
thought
you
that
lose
was like
80% of your heat. That's all you have to keep
I thought
covered.
a toboggan was like something you like sit on. Or
Where,
sit in. What the fuck?
that's where I grew up. There we call them toboggans.
I'm with
Oh
Eli.
wait, am I right though? Wait, am I no?
Yeah,
but
that's a
is-
sled. It's a
Beanies,
type of
yeah.
sled.
Oh,
as well, yeah.
that's why. It's
But
so
where I grew
confusing.
up, like a sled was a sled, a toboggan was a hat.
A beanie is the kind that doesn't cuff, and a toboggan is the kind that does cuff.
I've never heard that. I only heard of a toboggan as a sled.
So what John's wearing, it would be officially a toboggan.
What? No.
Oh, and if you're Canadian, they call them toques.
Yeah, yep, they sure
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, it's a weird world.
Hey, Jamie, when you go to the grocery store and you
No.
they grab your groceries and they put
Yeah,
them in.
when I grab them, yeah,
Well, like they hand them to you. What are they in?
in a bag.
They're in a poke.
The fuck?
Oh,
Get out
Lord.
of here.
All
They're
right.
a poke. Grocery poke.
All right.
Garbage poke. Bread poke.
No, they're in a bag, a plastic bag. No,
Poke.
we're not allowed to use plastic bags in New York. They're in a reusable.
A reusable
bag.
poke. Okay. Reusable poke.
And it's going to cost you $5 if you don't bring one.
I bring mine now, finally. Sometimes. Usually I try. Then I try and just carry as many things as I can in my arms. Like my grocery store just feels like is across the street. So like it's literally I don't do like food shopping. Like I go, I get what I like, and I come across the street. So it's like hopefully I remember to bring the bags. If I don't, it's like fuck, you're only getting 3 items. You're fitting them on under your arms.
And
Oh,
if
so
you
you'd
do
be like
come
the guy
down
in the
here,
snowmobile.
that's true. Yeah. Let the rest of them take it. And if you come down here to the South, just be prepared. If you ordered a Coke at a restaurant, they'll ask you what kind you want.
Awesome.
Oh Jesus!
I thought that was only in Georgia.
Nope.
Oh
that's
my
a
God!
South thing.
How do I
Hey,
answer that? But what if it's Coke?
There's soda too,
So-
right?
Coke.
There's soda people too.
Oh,
right?
there's soda. Yeah.
Yeah.
there's
Soda's usually
No
East
pop,
Coast,
soda.
Northeast.
So when I say, "Can I get a Diet Coke?" They're gonna say,
They'll
what
know what that
kind?
is. But if you say,
Oh,
I want
okay.
a Coke, they'll say,
Oh,
do you want
thank God.
Sprite,
No.
Dr.
Yeah.
Pepper?
and I'm gonna say, "You guys are idiots," and it's a
That goes over really well in the South. If
Yeah.
we're nothing, we're very patient and understanding people. Those are my people. So
That was one of the hardest things when like when I moved up here and everybody's like people are like, "Oh, can you grab me a Coke?" I'm like, "Well, there's only orange in the fridge." Like that's what I meant. And I'm like, "What? Like what are you talking about?"
It
It's
makes
not
no
Coke,
that
it's
makes
orange
no
soda.
sense.
Every
that
pop is
makes
Coke.
no it makes no
I don't get it.
sense.
Yeah, it's stupid. I want to
Coke is a brand, God damn it.
Right.
It's a brand.
Right.
When
Thank
I ask
you.
for a Diet Coke in a restaurant, I mean a Diet Coke. And then here in New York, they'll literally say, "Is Pepsi okay?" And I'll be like, "Oh,
No,
I guess.
absolutely not. It
I
is not
have
okay.
to."
I
Like,
remember the
okay.
first like when I moved up here and someone like I was somewhere and I told someone like, "Oh, what would you like to drink?" I was like, "Oh, I'll take a soda." And they go, don't you mean pop? I was like, I want to fucking pop you.
No, I do not.
Yeah, the pop thing is dumb too.
Yeah, I think the whole
That's-
Coke thing down here started because obviously Coke started in Atlanta, Georgia. So it's all Coke down here. It's all
Yeah.
Coke all the time. So anyway, we are way off
Yeah.
track. We have lost the plot.
The only thing
Uh,
left I have to say, Dave, on this one is the snowmobile kills were cool. Other than that, the movie's forgettable for me.
Yeah, I was going to
never
ask
watch
what
it again.
everybody's favorite kill was because there are some humdingers in here. Now, because I anticipated the reference, and when Erling gets his head ripped open, I was just giddy. I thought that was fantastic because it was almost a shot for shot remake.
That's
of that
awesome.
Brain
That's
Dead.
pretty cool.
Is no one reciting Eli's quote of the movie? Because I wrote it down.
He has
Oh.
a quote.
Yeah, there are no good jokes that don't include poop, pee, or semen. That was in the movie, and I wrote it down for Eli.
That's true. It's a true
It's just
statement.
truth.
Too bad this movie didn't follow it.
I think they kind of tried to with a
They
big
literally
think
had
so.
all of those
Outhouse.
things in one scene.
That outhouse.
did.
No, that is not funny. Okay, that was gross. When
No, it
she
really was.
she
I
didn't say it was a
threw
good
up in
joke.
my- I almost threw
It
up
was
in my
their
mouth.
joke.
when she raises his hand, I was like, they're
Don't
not going
you
to
do
do that,
it.
are they?
I had to look away. I could
And
not.
when they
take
did it, I was like,
getting,
this movie's trash.
And it's not like she didn't know too, because he's telling her,
He's-
no.
He's
No.
taking the poop as he's sitting there. Like, you have to smell it. Why did he lock the outhouse? Like,
what kind
What's
of
going on?
person is she? Like, I
She
just
has
don't
a
even
certain type of fetish,
understand.
apparently.
no, she's a garbage person.
She
Okay.
couldn't wait for him to leave.
She's an out hoe. That's what she is. She's
Wow.
an
Oh.
out hoe.
How dare you? Wow. Just the smell coming out of there. Oh,
Yeah,
my
all of
God.
it. It's just I was getting like sick to my stomach watching it.
Like I
Again,
said, she could
I
not die
watched a
quick
lot
enough.
of shit.
No.
It's also freezing out there.
There's
Yeah.
nothing sexy
Really,
happening
John?
out
She
there.
goes
Really,
out
John?
there.
That's her?
Well, you know what's crazy? She just
Well,
goes
no,
out
I'm
there.
just saying, in addition to all the other things we've already
Listen,
said, Jamie,
John,
it's like,
same-
and on top of it, it's freezing out there.
Same page, my guy. Same page. 'Cause she first off, she walks to that shit house without a coat on, and it's like negative 40 degrees, right? Then she gets in there, does the grossness, takes her shirt off, and I'm like, he's shitting without a coat because it's negative 40 degrees. You're taking your shirt off to your bra, negative 40 degrees. To have sex on a stinky toilet with him, like, what demon, dirty, devil worshiping
I
people
mean,
are you?
They've got that Viking blood over there, though. Remember that.
Listen,
that
I-
scene might like haunt me for
I
the like end of
love
time.
Norse lore. Never read any lore about them. Like, oh, then they would go have sex in the shit houses. That's nothing in lore. Don't even try to defend them, Dave. You're gross, and you should be ashamed.
And Eli, since you brought it up, why are you taking your shirt off?
Yeah.
And then you just keep your bra on at that point. Like,
Right? What is that
Like-
supposed to do?
It's a movie
leave on
that's
the-
not rated R.
Protect
so
you
they
from the
wanted to
poop
give us-
germs?
They want to give us boobs without giving us boobs.
I was going to say my
Somehow,
assumption,
it wasn't
because
even
it's
as-
it's like his
so
first movie
sexy.
and he's indie. My assumption is that he timidly went up to her and said, "Would you do frontal nudity?" And she's like, "No, I'll give you a bra." Okay.
And he's like, cool, because you're going to be having sex with this guy in the outhouse. Oh,
How
okay,
did-
I'm fine with
How
that.
did- yeah, how did none of these people say, I think this is kind of like not sexy, this is gross? This had to be like a joke, but that still doesn't land with us, right? Like, and I'm not saying us, I don't even think this is cultural. I think, like, I guess we are for apparently prudish people that do not enjoy or do not find it funny.
Out
that
hoes.
People just decided to have sex while shitting. Like, I just,
All
Like,
I'm saying,
there
I
must
grew up.
be people that find this funny out there. If you're
I grew
one
up
of
in
them
an
out
area.
there, please, like, don't let me know. Actually, I
Yeah,
don't
to our
wanna be
Scandinavian
associated with you.
listeners, please email Dave at podcast, podcast, at thewickedwild.com. I do want to know, is this a thing?
I don't.
I
I
want to
don't.
know if this is a thing, because if it's a thing, we're going to have a different conversation.
And I
Listen,
don't want to hear
don't
like
get it.
using the outhouse for privacy.
Right,
Like that can
yeah.
even be here. I don't want to hear that. That's not the situation.
That's not
we're
what happened.
discussing.
Even though the cold, kind of like ruins your smell a little bit, you're still going
Oh.
to smell that stuff.
Yeah.
No,
Like
the
that-
hole though. You're like right. You're at ground zero, my guy.
Guys,
no, that's
I
my
don't even-
point.
guys, it was coming out while
Yeah.
she was
Yeah.
mounting him. Like there is no like.
Listen, all I know is where I grew up, there were still outhouses that were being used. And all I know is if you just went up to an outhouse and was in and you just opened the door, that's a good way to get shot. Because a lot of them old boys kept guns in their outhouses.
As you do.
As you do. That's a good way to get shot. Secondly, if they didn't shoot you, they'd be like, close the goddamn door. What are you doing? I'm using my pennies catalog to wipe my ass right now. Close the door.
Oh God. Yeah, that I knew that was going to be a scene that we were going to have to get into because it is so abhorrent. It's just that's the right word, John. That's the exact right
foul.
word. It's just a foul scene. There's nothing in the rest of the gore of this movie, none of the body horror that comes close to that love scene, quote.
And then they
That's the most traumatizing thing.
Turn it up too, because then they put her down.
Oh yeah, she goes into the shit, which she deserves. She truly deserves.
Yeah,
because she's a poop person.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? Nothing offends me, and there's two things that I found last year that offends me.
Plenty of things offend you.
Well, and I'm talking about in reality.
You now, Eli.
Nothing really offends me, but I have found two things that have truly offended me in the last year.
The
both
movie
being
Antlers.
With this show. One, the movie Antlers. Thank you, John. Number two, this scene. It offended my good sensibility because I was like, it's just gross all around.
Guess what? We're all with you on that one. I will like.
And I'm the guy that finds anything with poop funny. And even I was like, oh God.
Yeah. If anybody wants to know what that range is that they crossed in this movie, just go listen to our Jaws episode where Eli goes into great detail on all the different pooping strategies to get away from a shark. So if this is a bridge too far, that's a bold statement. That's a big statement.
That's what I'm saying. Like if something with poop offends me, you know it's an issue.
It's a watershed moment here on the Wicked Wild.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So I did want to mention because I thought it was funny when I knew the name sounded familiar, but Tommy Wirkola is the director. He was also one of the writers. The other writer is Stig Frode Henriksen, which was the last guy. It wasn't the guy who chopped his arm off. It's the guy who watched him chop his arm off. What was his name? Oh, Roy. Not that means anything to you, but Tommy Wirkola just had a horror movie that came out. He did, and I didn't know this. He did the new Violent Night movie, the violent Santa Claus movie that just came out.
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't either, but it has a similar vibe to it just from the trailers I've seen. Like it's ultra
better
violent.
than this.
Oh, you have seen it?
I have seen it. If you don't like Die Hard, don't watch it because it's basically just Die Hard with Santa Claus, and they try to be funny at moments, it's not as funny as it should be. It's weird. You have to be in the right mood for it. Again, Violent Night's better.
They just announced today they're doing a sequel to Violent Night.
Yeah, they are. I have to see it because of who the lead is, which you guys know our connection, but I'm not sharing my connection on the podcast. So why we need to.
I watched his arc.
Eli, I'll tell you off. Well, I'll tell you off.
Okay. I was like, I don't know this.
It might have been before your time. I'll tell you off this.
Before my time? Oh, you know what? You did tell me this. I remember now.
It's good story.
Any other words on Dead Snow?
Yeah, it's dead to me. I never want watching it.
It's gone down the crapper hole.
Oh, don't you dare. Don't you bring Poop's good name in this.
If you like poop and sex at the same room.
Then don't ever listen to this show because you're a trash person.
Easy.
Don't ever listen to this show.
You disgust me. He said if you like having sex and pooping at the same time.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So since
I'll never tell him not to listen.
Exactly. And I'll tell y'all later. Sorry, I'll cut this out so the listeners don't know that, but there is a story to go along with that. So anyway, back to the episode. So rather than do what we usually do, I think you all know at this point what we're going to rate this show. So we're going to skip the rating and add a special segment just for our final review of season 1. And that segment is The Wicked Wild Reflections.
I hope there's some music we could put in there.
Yeah, I'll slide a little something in there for us.
Like some little
something orchestral.
Like I feel like I wish I could do a video of me dressed like a what was that Mr. Popo or whatever from Narnia? I'm drawing a blank.
Mr. Tomness?
Mr. Thomas, yeah, not a centaur, but not a fawn. What do they call it? I'm drawing a blank here.
It's so fun.
Is it a fawn?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know what
like
is
I
going
feel
on
like
right
I should
now.
have furry legs and a flute, and I could do a little video of me playing it.
Eli, you know
this.
there's a mobile application where you can put your face on certain videos.
Don't want to do that. Listen, don't do that. All
If
right.
anybody
I know
knows
about
that-
Chat GPT, what it's doing right now. Okay.
So for the Wicked Wild reflections, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of look back over our first season and kind of, as the host, I've got a few questions I'm going to ask, and you all can jump in with any of your answers. Just kind of see what stood out to you from this year. And like I said, and I am extremely grateful both to my host and to everybody who's listening, because we've been all over the map. We've gone to places, and to use Eli's words, we've gone there so you don't have to. We've made sure to go dig up some stuff. So I do have some questions about our first season. So what is your favorite inside joke that came out of season 1? And whoever has an answer, you can go ahead and jump in.
Trucies. Because a lot of people missed it, and I still have people ask me, go, why do you randomly say trucies? Or you, Jamie, say trucies sometimes? I say, because we have a trucies.
I still don't know when we started it. I can't figure it out. I can't find
either.
it. Like, I mean, I haven't
I know.
sat there and listened to every single one, and that's also why it's hard for me to answer this a little bit, Dave, just on the side, because like it's hard for me to listen for many reasons, and because my voice sounds like this, and this is even with a cold. But I've tried to bounce around and find where that started, and I've watched on YouTube to see when we do it, to see if I can find the first time we did the hand signal.
Yeah.
And I cannot.
Well,
find
rather
it.
than ruin it, I'll say this. If you out there know when it happened, and I do know, so I'll be able to confirm if you're right. If you know, either on Twitter at Wicked Wild We Are, or shoot me an email, podcast@thewickedwild.com. You tell me what episode it was. If you're right, the first person who gives me the right answer, I'll send you a Wicked Wild t-shirt on me.
Because I want to know when it is, and I can't find it.
He can tell you off the air.
I can. I don't know that I will, but I can.
Oh,
Any other inside jokes that have really hit for anybody, or things that have made it into your regular life that came out of this?
This is not made in my regular life, but the plushy hand turkey is an instant classic for me.
It's so solid, and it's such a clear mental image that is confusing and horrifying at the same time.
I think there's a lot of campfire tales things that if people don't listen, because I'm sure there's a segment of people who like do one or the other or whatever, because it is two totally different ones about movies. So if you've seen a movie, you might listen. The other one is us going off the rails. But yeah, because like I feel like any of those, and they've made their way though. The thing is they've slid their way into the main show, and like anything with like a backhoe, anything with like Bigfoot. One of my favorites is how Jeff can't can't do quantity or size.
Exactly.
Or like,
It has no dimensionality.
no dimension.
That's a good one.
I think also I really enjoy the tragic backstory of Jeff and
John.
John's blooming friendship. We found out during the Friday the 13th episode.
There you go.
The sleepover, how the long lost, the big plan reveal.
Oh man.
I
You're
think
going to
that's
ruin
one
it
of my
for
favorites.
anybody that's listening out of order, but
Exactly.
I mean,
Well, they can go back and catch up for sure.
I didn't say what the
These are-
plan
this is-
was. Okay.
This is selling them on.
I mean, they really want to know the truth.
I didn't even know I was involved in that plan. Somehow I got involved in that before I even knew you. It's crazy.
Welcome to the real world, Eli. You took is it red pill or blue pill? I can't remember.
Oh,
anymore.
neither. I took green.
Of course.
And that's why we are where we are.
You're
The
welcome.
rest,
everybody.
as they say, is history. So another question out of curiosity. What is the favorite fictional character that we've randomly created on this podcast?
Do I even have to say it? I think we all know what mine is, right?
Yeah, we know what Eli's is.
Mole King.
Yeah.
It's gotta be the
No.
Mole King.
I don't know about that.
That was another one that I thought, and I guess I'd always assumed as we've gotten further away that Eli came with the Mole King, but no, that was generated on the fly on one of our episodes. Again,
Yep.
not going to tell you which one.
I remember.
It's around. I think we had this discussion.
It's early
didn't we,
on.
here. But isn't it around because I don't know if I was on when it originated, but I know it was
You were.
around.
You were
Then
there.
it's the Jotun one or Jotun. I don't even know how to say the word.
Jamie
Oh
nailed
man,
it.
you
Because
ruined the trivia for the.
I don't want to
fans.
I know, but I don't want to have it like that's one of my favorite. That was one of my favorite episodes to record. I had different like listening versus recording, but that's the one I left crying because not today, mole person, not today.
Because of another very
and
beloved
that's
character.
my favorite character,
Sheila.
Oh, Sheila.
Sheila. Oh man, Sheila, the plushy hand turkey. It's a combination.
If you could like insert that quote right here, which is probably still on my Instagram somewhere, about like the not today mole. That whole conversation is Eli trying to tell a story, and then Jeff just gave.
I don't know why, but I just keep waiting, and I don't know when it'll happen, but I just keep waiting for the day where Sheila becomes the queen of the mole people, and like the mole king marries Sheila. I don't know why. I keep thinking that's where it's heading.
Wow.
I love
because she said not today, mole person. You offered her to be the queen or whatever.
I did, but I think it's gonna happen. Like I think it's gonna get there.
I love that. That's also the episode that you can hear when listening to the episode. You can hear Jeff realizing he has permission to cut Eli's knees out from under him anytime.
Oh, he does it all the time in real life. Like him and I do it, and like I think he was trying to be polite at the beginning. I'm like, dude, just come at me, bro. Come at
And
me.
he did.
He does. And now him and I, like, it's if you want to hear two men sarcastically go at each other, listen to Campfire Tales. Because I still make fun of his, like, I went after him when he goes, what was that meth joke he said? Oh, I went after him so hard.
The plural
of
meth heads.
Plural of meth heads. I was like, you just said it. Heads. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, and then he comes back at you with the whole corncob peanut butter bird feeder, which was one of my favorite conversations within an episode.
Same. That was also one of I left crying.
That's the Bigfoot theories for anybody who wants to go back and listen to that one. I want to apologize. I can't listen to it anymore because of my wheezing laughter throughout the Sorry, I'm a smoker. That's what happens. So my favorite fictional character, though, I'm going to have to go with a more recent one. I am in love with George the Bunny Man Washington.
Oh my God. Yeah. He keeps coming back up, especially when it's just you and Jeff on the Campfire Tales. That some bitch just comes out of nowhere.
And I don't know how it happened. It was so organic and it was so perfect because it was like the history and the lore that you were trying to feed us all just lined up perfectly to prove that George Washington, who is still coming to the White House to control the country every Easter.
Through rabbits. And then like we got the Stanley Hotel and I thought it was out. And then like somehow he's in the Stanley Hotel. And I'm like, what in the Farmalati? Like I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, who are you going to bring in to write up the peace treaty between the Bigfoots and the Predators? I mean, it's going to be
George Washington. First president. What else do you expect?
Anyway, I had a lot of fun with him. And then on a more not serious, but on a more personal note, I am curious what movie really surprised each of you that we've reviewed, whether better or for worse. Either it didn't meet expectations, you were really pissed, or a movie that really exceeded your expectations, or you went in with low expectations. What movie that you saw this year really surprised you?
Mine was Midsummer. Because I thought I was going to go in hating it again because I hated it the first time I watched it, and then I was pleasantly surprised how much it turned around on a rewatch.
That was the most disappointed I had ever been because that was like
Were you disappointed in the movie or us?
No, I was disappointed in Eli because going into it, we were finally going to agree on a movie because Eli, up until that point, Eli and I like almost never agreed. So I was so excited that it was going to be Eli and I. And then he had to let me down.
Turned on you
tragically with that piece
of
shit.
I watched it. Like I said,
I watched it.
I rewatched it.
I've watched it too.
No, I'm saying like I rewatched it. It was my first rewatch, and I was pleasantly surprised how much I liked it. I think it might have been the fact that I just hadn't got off work and didn't realize I was going into a 4.5 year theater experience. But I did. That surprised me.
I don't think I had any surprises on this show. I think because I've seen most of the movies before. Not all, but most of. So it was like there wasn't like shocking. I will say that like, but doesn't discount that like the first time, and I think we all had this conversation, like the first time I saw Underwater, because of the movies we've watched, that movie actually shocked me because I thought I was gonna hate it. And enjoyed it. So that was like a shocker. So I remember sharing that. So like pretending I saw it for the first time for this show, like, and then it was a shocker how much you guys liked Boggy Creek, which I think is one of the worst things I've ever had to sit through.
So good.
Fucking public school 1980s
So
video
good.
they put on when you like need to go to sleep.
Yeah, that was my surprise of the season was Legend of Boggy Creek because it does look like a stinker in all the worst kind of ways. And it is, and I get it. I get that it is, but for
That
the
charm,
culture
baby.
within which I grew up,
No.
all of the inside jokes hit for
Mhm.
me. I knew exactly where I knew those people. I knew all that stuff. So it was, I guess it was more nostalgic and sentimental than it was surprising. But I was surprised at how much I enjoyed sitting down and watching it. Because to your point, Jamie, up to that point, everything that I heard about it, it sounded like it was going to be a miss, but it wasn't.
Oh, so
Jamie,
good.
I'm sorry I offered that suggestion up for you, but Dave, I'm so happy I offered that suggestion up for you.
You killed it.
Don't ever do it again.
I was so excited when I was like, that's what we're doing. I'm like, I've been watching the movie
Guys,
forever.
guys, that was
Ah.
brutal. Are you kidding
No, I
me?
love
Like
it.
like it's not even funny.
Jamie,
to
he
watch.
shot off part of his foot in a boating accident.
Mhm.
I
But he
can't let
doesn't
that go.
do
I
it.
can't let
He
that
doesn't
go.
do it in the movie. Like there's nothing happens
Listen.
in this movie.
Jamie,
just
I
dialogue.
still every couple months
Voiceover. It's just
try to
voiceover.
see if I can get that Crabtree song as
Oh
my
my
ringtone.
god.
I
Yeah.
still try every couple months, and like, unfortunately, no one's made it.
You could do it yourself. Is it on a YouTube video somewhere?
Yeah, you can make one.
You could make it. You could definitely make it.
That's
You
true.
have enough.
But I want good quality.
Oh
like,
my
I
god.
want-
Well,
I
now
want
you're asking
good-
way too much. You're never gonna
Like,
get
if I could get, like
quality movie.
You know what I want? I want Axl Rose. I want him to
What?
do like
Oh.
like an orchestra version of that
You know
song,
Joe
like
Bob's
November Rain. You know?
You know Joe Bob sung that song on his show, right? With
I don't watch Joe Bob. I didn't realize
big
that.
with some Bigfoot researcher. And that is the better way to watch it, Jamie.
No, there's no better way. I'm sorry. Absolutely not.
Jamie's never going back
I've
to that
watched
well.
enough Joe Bob that like even he doesn't save the worst of movies, and that movie is fucking terrible. So no.
So, John, did you have a surprise?
I did. I was gonna jump in right after Eli because my surprise, but obviously this kind of in between. It's a nice like kind of sandwich because my surprise was also Midsummer because
Oh, really?
when I first watched it, I really liked it. When I watched it again, I'm like, this movie's bad.
I thought you still liked it.
No.
He was
Oh.
down on it.
Oh, all
No.
right.
Yeah. He
No,
was pissed off at all
I
the
thought
dumb
I was
kids.
the loner. I thought I was the.
No, it was me and you.
Yeah.
Just like how we started this terrible show or great show, whatever.
The
we wanna
original
look at.
Trucies.
I know.
I don't. It's not. No, that's not truces. That's just like being smart.
Yeah, true.
Whoa.
Now I got personal.
It's good taste,
Wow.
is what he means. It's just having good taste.
Using words here.
And being smart.
That sounds like outhouse sex talk to me.
Oh, how dare you?
Yeah, seriously, Dave.
Wow.
Issue.
That is a step. Just one step. I'm not going to
Kiss
say
your
you're
wife's
that
step
out
mouth.
of line, but just one step too far.
So, next question I have, and to the point we just were talking about, surprise co-host opinion. You know, like Jamie was talking about with Eli turning on her in Midsummer. So, has there been a opinion from one of your co-hosts that you thought you knew where they would have landed on it, but they came out somewhere else completely?
Probably also the first, whatever the first movie John and I disagreed on, which if you could find that, that's because we were like, I don't know,
Oh my
going
God.
5 for 5 or something in the beginning.
I know there for a while I was convinced that he was locked in your closet.
Oh, yeah, I know. You said it every single episode.
I did.
Yeah, I don't know which one that would have been, but yeah, that would have been a big moment, and I do remember it happening.
Wasn't no. We were definitely in lockstep on
Yeah,
no.
we were, yeah.
Fuck that movie.
I don't know. I'd have to go through the list in order and we could figure it out.
Another
but-
trivia question, Dave. I don't know if you want to give him like, I don't know, a piece of candy or something for that one because you're already giving away a shirt, but
Yeah. When did Jamie and John divorce each other?
I know mine, Dave, was yours. I thought you were gonna like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake a little bit more than you did.
No, really.
Yeah, so when you came and swing that, I was like, oh my God, all right. I was a lone man. I was a lone man on the boat that episode.
No, John was in there. He was just
What
being
the
quiet about it.
that's right.
I couldn't get a word in edgewise. That's why I was quiet.
That's because I was being attacked by Joe. I
Bar news,
defended
yeah.
myself.
And I'm sitting there behind the ropes, and was like, "Tag me in, man, tag me in." And you're just like,
Listen, he was swinging swift, my guy. It was one of those ones where you need to reach over and tag my back.
Nobody liked that except for you. So
I did.
Oh no, you're forgetting him again. He's right there. See what happens when you divorce? See what happens when you divorce her, John? You're dead to her.
No, that's not how this works. We're allowed to have different opinions.
Yeah, that's what makes a relationship work. But
good taste is good taste, right?
Yeah.
I see how
just our good taste that varies from movie to movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think Dave hid the 2022 schedule on me, so I can't go back.
Well, my one that surprised me, Dave, and Eli, I'm not going to say I got this 100% right, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but if I remember right, you were not a fan of Crawl, and that's
Oh no, he was not, and it's ridiculous.
I did not like Crawl
because I was like, there's not a movie that I would think would be more up Eli's alley other than dumb people getting attacked by crocs, alligators. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, I did.
That's the one I was prepared to be.
And the dog lives.
I was prepared to be on an island by myself for that one, but Eli was in lockstep of, and I don't think it was even that we hated it. Neither one of us hated it. We just thought it was much dumber than y'all.
Yeah.
Oh, it's dumb, but that's the fun part.
It wasn't fun. Like I remember, it wasn't fun for me. Like I just did not.
I might have to watch Deep Blue Sea or something on this show so we can all just have a good time together.
I like Deep Blue Sea.
You see, I don't think any one of us dislikes that movie.
Of course not. I mean,
my surprise.
Let's not be crazy.
Exactly. My surprise co-host moment was, and it's still very endearing to me because it was a movie that I was fully prepared to be defending because I was the one who recommended it and I knew it was out there. But when Jaime came in and actually said that she enjoyed Ravenous, that meant a lot to me. Because it was a movie she hadn't seen. Exactly. See, that's what I assumed. I was going to get 3 of you that were going to say, why the hell did you recommend it? But I
came around on it by the end.
You sure did. And it was very endearing today.
That was another one we agreed on, John.
The 2 leads are so good, and they put them in that trash movie.
I thought they were great at what they were doing. Man. You know what? I don't think it was shocking because I don't want to say it was like it surprised me so much, but maybe how much that Eli didn't understand who Cabin in the Woods was made for, because every remark you made during Cabin in the Woods is exactly why the movie.
I understood. I understood. My problem was like me personal taste. Like if you're gonna be satire and if you're gonna do stuff like that,
we understand.
I don't like a heavy as a hand. Like I kind of like being smart about it.
Eli's still arguing.
Guys,
the problem with the soldiers wearing camouflage is it's hard to see them when they're in the woods.
The
camouflage pattern on their clothes.
That's not even what I'm saying at all.
For me to see them when they're standing in the foliage of the woods.
It doesn't surprise me because, but
it's not even what I'm saying.
A little bit surprised me that Eli does not like Cabin in the Woods because it's one of the greatest.
Because it's a great movie.
What I love is when Eli has set his mind, there is no changing him.
No, I like that
burn the world.
Which is why I said, don't say again to me about Last of Us, because I'm already getting there and I'm just never going to watch it. I refuse.
Okay,
ask me if I've ever watched Lost. Fuck no, because people still are talking about it. And the show ended.
That show fucking sucks.
I was never so angry.
People shoved it down my throat.
After first couple seasons, I was that show, and then when I found out the ending, I was even angrier.
Let me ask you this, because this will probably be a very similar situation, Jaime. How much did you love X?
Fuck that movie. Fuck that movie. Fuck Mia Goth and her no eyebrows. And if people try shoving her and Jenna Ortega down my throat anymore, and Anna Taylor-Joy.
I knew that was going to be a fantastic conversation.
We will take this offline, but while I was sick for the past week and bedridden and couch-ridden and took days off for the first time in like a year and a half from work, I did watch all of Wednesday, Dave. But
oh, good.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
We'll follow up on that, but yeah, that is one that I had enjoyed. So now we're down to
telling me we're not watching X?
Oh, we are. We are.
I'll be on vacation and we can't reschedule. You guys have to record. Just do it.
So we're down to our last 2, and these are, each of you get the opportunity to put your superlative badge, your hand off your trophy to our season 1 episode. So first, so from each of you, what is your favorite campfire tale?
My favorite campfire tale.
Yeah.
Oh, if no one's gonna jump in, I'll go first. Skinwalker
Okay.
Ranch, hands down.
Sweet. That is such a good one.
I don't think I've laughed that hard in a very long time, and it was very unexpected. It went off the rails. There was many of terrible photoshops that were created after that show, and it was special. I think it's where Eli found his lane for his show.
That's the first one where we really went off trail, and it was fantastic. And John, and that's one I've listened to quite a few times because your organic and very sincere reaction to the Blink 182 revelation was so good. Like you're like, oh, quit. That's horseshit. You're just making stuff up now. And then you're like, you can hear you Googling on the episode and going, what the actual?
That guy's fucking nuts. Tom DeLonge. What is wrong with you?
Eli officially blew your mind with that little tidbit of information.
I mean, it's a truth, but I mean, it's not something that you need to know. It's not essential learning.
What about you, Jaime?
So I mentioned before, like for recording them, like, and I know I say it wrong, but I say Jotun. I don't know how you, but the Jotun one and the Bigfoot ones had me leaving this room crying. I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard at those. And like the amount of times, again, I have listened to Not Today. Well, I like if there's a way I can make that like just like my text like alert or something. Like it's a little too long, but but so though like, but I get those might be too inside jokey. Like I could see where like because we get very like I find it hilarious, but sometimes you have to be part of the party. And like I am one of those I can listen to people having fun though and laugh, even though it's like it's because it's just so silly.
Because they're having fun, yeah.
Yeah, because they're having fun. But I also will say, like, one of my favorites, and for purposes of even, I actually have given it as examples to people when I explain our show and our supplemental, is like, I really enjoyed the Two Cults and a Lie, because, like, I think that was a really good use of, like, what the show is, but, like, mixing it up, like, instead of just spat, and, like, when I've told people about the show and I've given examples of what Campfire Tales is, the easiest ones just to get the idea down is to explain, like, the Bell Witch with Blair Witch, because that's a very easy. And then I always give Two Cults and a Lie because like it was just like a funny like. But I like that episode.
Yeah, whenever I'm down, and I'll obviously let the maestro go last. Whenever I'm down, I will listen to personally. To your point, Jaime, I'll listen to Bigfoot theories, or I'll listen to the one that Jeff and Eli and I did on the Bunny Man, just because that one went so far off the rails. That was a lot of fun, but to your point, those are for personal reasons. But as far as the one that I think is my favorite overall, I would have to say that my favorite one is the Donner Party one, because that was just a fun conversation. That the story, the history and the lore around that Eli kind of dug up is preposterous to start with, and then you throw Jeff in there cutting Eli's knees out from under me. And me throwing salt on the wound, and everybody kind of ganging up on all of the subject matter that's going on there. I just thought that was a lot of fun, and I knew it was one that Eli was really excited to talk about. So I think we all had a really good time. There was really cool chemistry.
It's one of the few ones I made it to.
I think we were all on that one.
I was not.
No, we're just missing Jaime that
It was
one.
Boys Club.
I was
Jaime was on.
You were traveling, that's right.
Yeah, Jaime was on. Sonny Bean.
Sean Bean. I was on Sean Bean.
But my favorite one, as far as if any of our listeners haven't gone back, or if you get to this episode in the future sometime, that Donner Party one I really enjoy for the dynamic of it, the storytelling that happened.
And you don't have to watch Ravenous to enjoy it.
Exactly.
No, you don't. Well, that's the thing with Campfire, and that's why like Two Cults and a Lie came out of Midsummer. I'm not recommending anybody go watch Midsummer at all. But it ended up with what I think one of the best campfire tales following it.
Yeah, and the beauty, and Jamie's mentioned this several times, and it's true. There are some like the Bigfoot theories, or
I will listen to that,
or the Mole King vetoes. The problem with those are they're so laden with inside jokes that if you go into those cold, you're not going to get a ton of the references that we're making and laughing about. You just think we're idiots. The thing I love about Donner
we
Party is
are.
it kind of lives within a circle of itself. It's kind of an enclosed set of things. We're not referencing other campfire tales or anything. We're just having a really good time talking about this crazy story that happened. So
So
anyway,
you're telling the listeners right now that they wouldn't understand the Texas candy lady stories that he
Yeah.
likes to tell,
yeah. Or the
which is still one of the most bizarre things in the conversation I've ever had to listen to, and honestly made zero sense.
exactly.
And Jeff had no problem telling us how stupid it was.
Or our constant Leatherface boat and submarine hole references.
Subhole.
So, Eli, what about you as the host with the most of those? What is your favorite campfire tale?
It's hard. They're all kind of my babies. But
Well, you gotta pick your favorite baby.
It's weird that there's two that I go back forth a lot as my two favorite, and the one is Two Cults and a Lie, because that one came together so good.
Mm-hmm.
And like it just worked out so perfectly that you guys are trying to figure out if I was gonna actually name a winner or not, and they're all losers. I love it. It's just
That's back when we thought it was really a game.
Yeah, and I remember when I just died the game, I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work. I got too smart for this, and then it just came right in. And then honestly, my second favorite is the Candy Lady, because it was so absurd, and I remember watching your Jeff's face as I was telling this story, and then that's when hobos came in. Hobos became real big, and just your absurd reaction when I was they're using candy as currency. It's still because that one I feel like that was when I was just okay, if there's nothing connected, I'm just gonna find the most absurd shit I can find. That's why I started doing it.
Yeah, you were annoyed that we had watched the ruins anyway, so you weren't going to do a lot of digging. Nope. And for listeners that don't catch the reference, there is not a campfire tales called Candy Lady. That is Mole King Veto Volume 1. That's the first Mole King Veto, and it's the Candy Lady of Texas.
Yep,
it's something.
So, last but not least, and I'll let Jaime start this time. What is your favorite main show episode that we've done in season?
So I feel like I actually declared this recently, and I feel like I said or maybe I said it to you guys after the fact, that listening to the Krampus episode was one of my favorites, because I don't know, it was just so wholesome, and I like when we do as much as I love, trust me, as much as I love arguing my point to a death, and I'm not going to change sides on something that's a terrible movie, I do love when we all agree too, because then it's a fun, we're all in just sharing everything we love about it. Yeah. But I think that one just I don't know, we know me, I don't have the Christmas spirit, but it was just so wholesome and so much fun, and coming towards the end of the year, and we just had a good time with that one.
We were just enjoying each other.
We were just enjoying it. It's a lighthearted movie, which is what you want on this show. We have a good time discussing but I also there's because there's a lot, because we've just sat here and talked about inside jokes, and so many have yielded such moments that it's hard to pick and choose, like you guys said, of our babies. But I also have gone back more recently and listened to the remake of Texas Chainsaw, which we were referencing earlier. And every time John and Joe just interrupt with a music video for no reason that this guy did, that's on his it comes out of nowhere as we're talking, and I don't know, that episode is one of my favorites, just because I think it's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, those two off the top, off of it's hard, and I know, John, and I love what we do. I love doing this every week. It's hard for me to listen to myself. That's my own insecurities and weird things.
Sure.
I try to listen for you guys instead, but you get you get in your own head if you're like me, and you get distracted. So it's hard because I don't listen that often to know which is but I do know I did listen to Krampus more than once, because I just wanted to hear it again. So, and I've listened to the Texas Chainsaw remake more than once because I found it hilarious. So I'm going to go with those.
Cool. Eli?
Mine's probably Friday the 13th, part 3.
Oh, yeah.
Just for the pure fact, because with Jeff's one, because Jeff and I, on Campfire Tales, we like to poke, like we poke people's sticks, like that's what Jeff and I do, but mainly it's at each other. And then when I don't remember if it was me or Jeff who started with that about John's Jeff be like
Oh
best
yeah.
friends at tape. But like if you go back and watch the YouTube video, it's almost like Jeff and I are sharks and there's blood in the water. You can literally watch on the video. Like it doesn't really make sense frames, but you can both see Jeff and I snap because we're looking at each other because we know like, oh, we're getting our sticks out. We're like, oh, we're not poking each other tonight, huh? And then we go to like this 20-minute tirade about this whole thing with John and his life growing up with Jeff being his secret best friend. Like it's still one of my like I still laugh out loud when I watch that YouTube video because like we're looking at different places, but you just know because like Jeff and I are just we're snapping one person, we're looking at each other like, okay,
You've both found
now.
the same thread.
All right, here goes. You smell blood. All right, here we go. Such a good time.
What about you, John?
Oh man, so funny. You guys have all kind of mentioned some of my favorites already, but I have a like it's easy for me to grab just like a group of them, but I really think the camp this year was really, really great. I mean, what stuck in my head was I know early on we talked about no guests, but doing that camp and then bringing on some of our friends was quite memorable. It was like Eli said, Friday 13th. That one stuck out. Texas Chainsaw for me, the remake. I thought we were all having a great time. I will not listen to myself. And the fact that Jamie's gone back and listened multiple times because I was dying inside because I kept pulling up those music videos. And then Joe was like, okay, if this is what we're doing, we're going to do this. And it just kept going because I'm telling you, if you haven't listened to that episode, I've recommended that one to several people. You got to listen to that. And then if you don't believe us, go to that man's IMDb page. It is nuts.
You guys just like seamlessly throw it in too, though, because it's like mid-sentence, and you guys were just like, we were talking about something. You'd be like, I can't believe this also came from the guy who directed the something, and it's just like it would just like come out of like, I wouldn't expect any less from the guy who produced it. Like,
oh, it was so much fun, and the sad part is like after it's like you can like for me, I'm like, oh, that is pretty funny. So each time I look up the IMDb, it's like no one has had anything remotely as colorful. But in addition to that was really fun. That was a fun episode to participate in. But I mean, I love the Jaws episode just because I know that's one of Jamie's favorite movies, one of my favorite movies, and I think it's all of our favorite movies, like at least a little bit. But having all of our friends on, when Joe was on, when Caitlin was on, it's all great. And then Mary's wonderful return, even though she's still dead to me. Sorry, Eli. It's okay, Mary. It's okay, Mary. I say that out of love, but no, it's been a fun year.
It has, and honestly, obviously, of course, the listeners don't know this, but we've known each other virtually. Most of us have never met in person until very recently at Eli and Mary's wedding. Me and Jamie have, but I think that's it.
You're right, though. Actually, as I look at the sport, you're right. You and I have.
Yeah.
I was like,
so it's interesting how much you all have become like my crew as much as my local crew that goes and sees horror movies. I mean, I spend more time with you than I do anybody else in my life. And that's part of season of life. I'm older, I've got kids, so I don't have a lot of time to just hang out with friends. So I've really, and you guys know this because I've referenced it to you several times off air, that this is sort of Dave's sanctuary, that I have a standing appointment with some really good friends to talk about something that I'm the only one in this household that cares about. My wife doesn't really watch genre movies. My kids aren't really into it. Either they're too young or they're just not into it. So, and that's what's led me to my answer for my favorite episodes. Favorite episode, but a close second is Midsummer, but my favorite episode is Nope. And I'll explain because I know we were all over the map on both of those movies, but what I really enjoy about those and the three of you can confirm this. One of the things I was really excited about us hosting the Wicked Wild together is that we all have very different viewpoints and we're all very passionate and we're all very opinionated. But what I've always loved, even for, and we've joked about it, even in the Blair Witch Project, which was, I mean, y'all came in hard on that.
Well, you say y'all. Hold on, guy.
Well, I know. Well, there were teams.
Yeah, you guys
I
came in
merged.
hard too.
Yeah,
they were
exactly.
defining. They were very defined lines. This was
But
like you
even-
took like a rake and just.
But
Dog
even in that one, and we were still kind of trying to figure out what it was. So that one didn't make the cut. But even in that one, we were very respectful. The discourse was productive. But in both Midsummer and in Nope, especially, and Nope is the one that I finally stood out when I had to finally figure one out, is because not only did we have teams, like every single one of us had a reaction to that movie for very different reasons. We all had a very specific and very signature position that we brought to the episode from that movie. You know, some of us hated it. Some of us were, I could care less. Some of us were excited about certain parts of it. But throughout the listening to that episode, what I really loved is the love that we each had for each other. That it was never, you're an idiot if you like X, or you're a moron, or no, you're wrong. And and I don't spend a lot of time on social media, but the little bit of time I do spend on social media, or, you know, just consuming standard news or any of those kind of things, if you don't agree with me, you're wrong. But you can't just be wrong. You have to be a hateful, ignorant monster if you don't agree with me. And what I've enjoyed about what we've done with the Wicked Wild is we're not going to agree. And we're honestly, and one of the things I enjoy is the four of us are rarely going to agree, to your point, Jaime. So when it happens, it's exciting, but we're not going to agree. But what we've always done in our episodes is either jokingly stabbed at each other or just said, look, this is my perspective. I totally understand that there are other perspectives in the world, but I enjoy us having a discourse as adults, as mature human beings, where we can all say, okay, I don't agree with you, but I totally see that that's where you're coming from. So that's why for Dave, Nope is the one that kind of stood out to me, because I really enjoy the way we talked about him.
I was going to say mature adults.
Exactly.
I'm using air quotes for those that can't. But I think anybody who listens already knows us.
Year of the Wiener.
Oh,
it's
yeah. We
coming.
didn't even bring that up tonight.
It's coming
Jesus
for you.
Christ.
Oh, I said it earlier.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah, when we had the biting of the wiener, we went Year of the Wiener. And
Oh, I missed the. Okay, I missed.
You know what, though?
line.
I feel like it was tainted with the whole having sex while taking
It was.
shit
I
in
think
an
I was
outhouse
still
thing.
distracted.
I can't, like, my good sensibility, you know. I was offended.
Your good taste. Understood.
Yeah.
Anyway, to Dave's point, it's been a great year.
yeah.
For next year, Dave, I'll be sure to vehemently call you terrible names when you disagree with me.
Yeah, just call me a
terrible person.
Yeah, just-
You're awful.
Just hang up. Just leave the episode immediately.
Because to
Anyway.
everybody's joy or disappointment, we're not going anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
I
there
got
will
nothing
be a
else
season
better
2.
to do than to sit here and record this once, twice a week.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, for some of us, this is my therapy bubble with friends to have a standing date that I can do this.
If you ever go to court, I would not include my stuff or the Campfire Tales in your therapy. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Not on the official
Not a good
record?
look. Yeah.
Yeah,
Also, I don't want them knowing my name. So
humor and comedy are great therapy.
They sure
That
are.
being said, another one we could throw on the list is Snakes on the Plane.
Ooh, excellent. So any other thoughts on our season as we close up the book?
Thanks to you, Dave. You do a lot of the work around here.
Yeah.
Well,
It wouldn't happen without you.
I do it for selfish reasons, but I'm certainly thankful that you all put up with it and hopefully
Eli,
enjoy it.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I know John and I just show up and laugh and cry.
And I try to be funny, and probably 90% of the time I fail. So
I'm just still upset about this pooping in an outhouse thing. And that's
Oh my
it, guys. I'm so disgusted.
I thought he was going to talk about antlers again, but
So,
I guess we'll leave that
that
to the
movie's
end.
dead to me. That movie's dead to me. Okay.
So on that point,
Oscar
Eli,
award-winning.
what are you going to follow up the outhouse love scene
yeah.
with on Campfire Tales?
Well, I can tell you now, we're not going to talk about the history of having sex while you're taking a shit. What? No. I figured even though if SOB said they were joggers, They weren't. They were kind of zombies. So I figure we're going to talk about zombies and not just kind of the actual lore zombies, but I figure we'd scare people because I don't think people realize how real or how close nature is to zombified things as we know it.
I thought we were going to take
Ooh.
a test to see if we're a zombie.
Well, I already have answers in my head. There were going to be some questions tomorrow. See if maybe you can survive these real things. And if I had to guess, most of you failed them, and you probably already got the stuff in you, and you probably already have zombies.
And even if we don't fail them, we're going to fail them
We're
because
gonna-
if we don't like your
Listen,
answers, we're going to make
Listen,
you.
if
no
there's
chance.
one thing, if there's one thing anybody should have learned over this past year listening, there's only ever one winner, and that's old MK himself, the Mole King.
Just trying to think of celebrity with the initial. Oh, Michael
I don't
Keaton.
know. I
Michael
still
Keaton's the only winner.
I
Yeah,
still
Mole King.
started a cult, so I'm still fine with my stance in this.
Exactly.
But you have a kingdom.
Of
Yeah,
moles.
I apparently belong to one without
Wow.
even.
First off, well, yeah, you are. You're on the table now because of Trucy's. That's right. You're on the table. You're my left hand.
I think me and John are still free agents. So
Oh,
I'm
free
good that way.
agents or rejects. You pick which word you want.
You call us whatever you want. I don't care.
So thanks again to our listeners. We do ask if you would subscribe if you've enjoyed what you've heard so far. If this is your first episode and you're closing up the season with us, thanks. Come back and we'll leave the season up so you can go back and look into the catalog at some of the recommendations we just mentioned. Do ask that you rate the show. You can do that. I think the only button that works is you have to click the far right star in order to get your rating to actually submit properly to Apple Podcast. The other 4 stars, I think they're broken or they lead you off. I think there's some sort of AI thing happening. You just got to hit that 5th star over there.
Oh, hold on, Dave. Just got an update on my phone. Did you know that if you do less than 5 stars, you get alerted to the government that you have sex with people who have the jits in an outhouse? That's not something you want to be associated with people. 5 stars only. Save yourself.
And that goes
5
on your
stars.
permanent record, right?
Yeah, everybody knows. Like when you go to apply for a job, that's the second question they're going to ask you. The first question being, "How dare you?" And when you go, "What are you talking about? Did you have sex while someone's taking a poop in a house? You're gross. Get out of here." They spit on you in the street.
If you want to learn more about all of this funny content and all the funky things that we talk about, you can go to our website at thewickedwild.com. We have book reviews, movie reviews. We've got merchandise that I've referenced earlier. We've got t-shirts and sweatshirts and other things with our logos and some of our longstanding designs, like the beautiful design of the Campfire Tales that has the Mole King front and center in the design. You can also find information or contact us through the website if you would like. On social media, we are, as I mentioned earlier, on Twitter at Wicked Wild We Are is where you can find us, or you can just search the Wicked Wild Podcast. And we're also on YouTube. We do a video that we post up for each of our reviews and Campfire Tales. Just search on YouTube, the Wicked Wild Podcast. And this just in, new news, we are now on the Slasher social media app. So that is the horror community social media, because we assume at some point Twitter is going to implode. So David's just trying to stake some ground. And I'm the only one. I don't even think the host knew that we were on there yet. Probably don't have it, but I'm the only one who's been playing around. And it's a cool little community. It's all horror all the time. There's very little political garbage to talk about or any of the other stuff. It's just horror movies, which is very delightful. So on Slasher, if you're on there, you can reach out to us at Wicked Wild We Are. Any questions or thoughts or any feedback that you want to give us, especially any of our Norwegian or Swedish or Scandinavian? We've got a lot of questions for you. Please, we just ask, just send us in an email to set the record straight for your fellow men and women in the area.
No one wants to know that.
So just send your thoughts or any feedback you have to our email, which is podcast, podcast, at thewickedwild.com. Anything else before we close the book on this one? So John, what should these people do? Do we have any recommendations or advice we would want to give anybody?
Go get lost.
Oh, that's fantastic advice. Why would they want to do that?
Well, some might say, and by some I mean Dave, it's the only way you can find yourself.
Or the only way you can find the Mole King. Because big things are coming for the Mole King season 2. Just there's some stuff in motion.
No one's looking for the Mole King.
Everyone's looking.
Okay, he has stepped on my closure for the last time.
Yeah.
Season 2.
You're welcome.
Watch me burn the Mole Kingdom to the ground.
Ooh.
You don't want to have